So tell me about Raton's and Minnie's relationship.
Alright, but before I can, talk about their relationship, I kind of have to go give you a little bit of context about Minnie herself and how they met. So, Minnie, she was from the country and she was desiring to have a bigger life, a better life. She was destined to be a farmer at one point and she said no. She's going to become an actor, she's going to get on the big screen, right? And so she flies out to California where the auditions are for Steamboat Willie, and she lands the role as Mickey's girlfriend. So, from what I've heard, when they met on set, they basically just connected super well, and their lives changed forever. They got together eventually, but before that, to give you like an example of how good their relationship was, um, basically Mickey had a fermented cum addiction, right? And he he basically loved putting fermented cum on his lips, and basically it was a substitute for chapstick, and it was disgusting. But it gave him some sort of high, and it was like I assume it was basically a way to calm his nerves down before practice or rehearsal. And Minnie actually was able to get him out of that and actually get him real chapstick. And she taught him how to not be nervous before these rehearsals. And after they finished Steamboat Willie, well, they hooked up and they started dating.
Wait. Quick question. Um, how did you know he had a fermented cum addiction?
I was just a guy I know who worked with Mickey during the time. Said he had an addiction to it. Would always come to set with fermented cum on his face, but that's not important right now. What's important is talking about what happened after they started dating. So it was about 5 years, right? They had been dating for about 5 years, and Mickey had finally proposed. He pulled up the question, "Will you marry me?" And she said, "Yeah." And then let's skip forward to their wedding date. I was actually invited to it. Surprisingly, I actually showed up. I guess the reason why I was invited is because Mickey probably told Minnie about his high school life and his entire life leading up to that point. That's why she knows so much about him. Obviously, and she probably also found out about the fact that Mickey basically blew me off and left, man. But yeah, I thank her for kind of bringing us together again. I was finally able to see him for the first time in 5 years after he had blew me off, and it was a really weird moment because it was awkward. The first time I had seen him after so long was that 5 month period, I believe, where I saw him in the alleyway and he was doing weird shit. But yeah, I was just happy to see him. I was happy to see him get married, and you know, he was happy to see me too. I was surprised, since he had blew me off earlier.
Whoa, 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 whoa,
And
whoa, whoa,
wait, why are you stopping me?
bruh. Do you hear yourself right now? Like, have you been hearing what you've been saying, dude?
What? What did I say?
You said Raton blew you off multiple times. What what exactly does that mean?
What do you mean? I said what I said. He blew me off. He disregarded me as a person and he fucked me hard. Like, what else do I have to say?
No, you know what? Let's forget about it. Just keep doing your thing. Keep talking about it. You were at the part where you went to his wedding, right? Just keep going.
Uh, okay. I don't really know what the fuck was the problem with what I said, but whatever. Um, so after the wedding, they had settled down in New York after moving from California. And since I was still in New York, I never moved. I was like, hey, Mickey, because I didn't know how comfortable he was with being called Raton. I was like, yo, you want to hang out again? He was cool with it, and he was like, all right, let me bring my wife. I'm like, okay. And so for fun, we would go to our old high school, And we'd walk into the teacher's classroom and we'd just take a shit on her desk while she was teaching. She was so mad, but who cared? You know, he was a celebrity. And we visited the old strip club that earlier I said that we tried to get Raton a gig at, and obviously he failed miserably, and he was able to bust down in there. That's what he always wanted to do. But, you know, all in all, Minnie enjoyed the time too, and she really had a big impact on Raton, right? And because of her, he started to sing and dance again, and it really felt like some of the old Raton was coming back. He was wearing his sombrero again, and he actually felt happy, right? They even had a fucking kid, like about like 2 years into their marriage. I think her name was Microsoft Word Mouse. But I'm gonna be completely honest with you, bro. She was the ugliest fucking baby I've ever seen, dog. Like, if I had a top 3, like, she's number 1. But the most important thing was that the pressures of acting were really fading away for Raton. He was feeling better. He was getting good, you know, he was in a good spot. But of course, you know, with acting comes harder roles, and with harder roles comes better fame and stress. And the fame, the fortune, and the stress really got to him, and he just fucking spiraled.
To put it lightly, after Steamboat Willie, Mickey became one of the biggest actors in the world. He was something the world had never seen before. A whistling rat. Mickey became a household name. He was featured in fashion magazines for his clothing, which created a trend of red swimming trunks. He had video games, he had food brands, and the list goes on. Starring in films like Fantasia and Mickey and the Beanstalk would cause Mickey to gain millions of fans. But with this fame came stalking and the paparazzi. Mickey was never actually able to go out with his wife, because if he tried to, an onslaught of fans would attack him, asking him to twerk, bust down, or take pictures with them. And it didn't help that the paparazzi would always follow him and never leave him alone, waiting outside his house, just to talk to him about the least relevant shit in his life. All this would lead to the couple eventually moving to a small town in Alabama to get away from all the fame. But it was to no avail, as they were recognized easily. I mean, they're 4-foot rats. Of course they were going to be caught. And Mickey, being fed up with running from the fame, chose to embrace it. He would bust down and twerk for his fans. He would talk to the paparazzi whenever. And he would do anything it takes to be seen. You see, Mickey had the philosophy that if he stayed in the spotlight for too long, eventually he would fuck up and his image would crash and burn. And Mickey knew that the only way to crash and burn was to change his personality into a much more aggressive actor that didn't take no for an answer. So basically, you could say he became a little bitch. Even though it was all a facade in the beginning, Mickey slowly but surely devolved into a real asshole, developing a superiority complex. The reason for this being that Mickey got tired of the industry, and realizing the fact that no matter what he tried, whether it be acting like a little bitch or creating fake scandals about himself, he would never be removed from the spotlight. He was bound together by the chains of acting. He accepted his fate and knew that if he was going to be stuck in an industry like this for life, then he would adapt to it and become the undeniable greatest in Hollywood. I had a chat with my old friend, Finley Christophen Jurgis Mergen, who worked with Mickey back in the day. I used this time to get a more in-depth look on his personality and actions during that time. Here is the interview. Okay, what's good? What's good, man?
Right, yeah, it's nice to talk to you again. It's been a while since we've talked.
Yes. How's your wife?
Oh, she's good, you know. Had her firstborn a few weeks back.
Oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, quite nice.
Yeah.
Quite nice.
Yeah.
Gave him the kilt, his first kilt. That was his mother's gift.
I don't know what a kilt is. But that's cool.
It's like a skirt for
a
Scottish
skirt.
people.
Okay.
No, why are you saying that like that, man? It's like skirt. You know what I mean?
Oh, skirt. Like
Yeah.
skirt, like that.
All right. Can we just go with the interview?
Okay.
No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just, really excited. All right.
It's all right. It's all right.
So you worked with Mickey Mouse back in the day, right?
Yeah. Back in about 20 years ago, I was in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
A young actor. They didn't like me in Hollywood. As you know, I have one leg, so it's a bit difficult to find roles around there. But with Mickey, he was quite a nice fellow. And he took me in and under his wing. I was a young lad at the time. He was a wee little guy, one leg, and Mickey. He just took me in under his wing, and he introduced me to Walt, and it was like I don't know what to say. At the time, Walt was filming Song of the South, and I was. That was quite the experience walking in on that. Mickey, he's at the time, such a furious actor and such a competitive actor in the way that he worked. And he wasn't about to call out Walt for doing that because he looked up to him so much,
Yeah.
But I had to step in and I said, Walt, pleasure to meet you, but what are you doing here? I can't accept this. And he was like, well, this is just business, sir. And I said, you know what, Walt, I don't know if I can accept this. This is going to come back to bite you in the arse. And Mickey pulled me aside and he said, look, if you want to make it in this industry, especially with that one leg of yours, you're going to have to be a little bit... You're going to have to go with the flow. That's what he told me.
As he should. Yeah, he would say that.
So we went on set to film Song of the South. And, wow, quite an experience. I was... they put me in a small role in the back. I was the tree in the back. You see me about 40 minutes in the film, my one leg sticking out, and I trip the main character as he's walking past.
Oh.
Mickey, he pushed for me, get a bigger role, and he was kind of a role model for me at the time. So I eventually worked my way up, and then we were filming the next film. This was Fantasia 1. This was a few years later. And Mickey, he had the lead in this play. But at this point, the fame kind of got into him. He got into a point where he was letting me stay at his apartment. And every night he was having hookers over, his creepy friends. One time he had like a dog fighting ring. I just want to clarify, this is between you and me, right? This isn't blown out.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Good. And my voice is being like fucked with, right? No one knows it's me.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, good. And then he brought in Pluto, and he brought the dog from Tom and Jerry. He brought in that dog. And
wait.
Just went,
to clarify, the dog, the Spike.
Spike, yeah, that's his name.
Oh,
that's his name.
The big ass bull.
Yeah. Okay. And they fought.
A dog
Pluto
fight.
Ripped him apart.
No fucking way.
It's true, and I was watching the whole thing.
Must have been
this point, Mickey, he'd paid for it. He'd paid for my college education. I was about to go into acting school. We're going back to London, to the Lambda, it's a big acting school in London.
Oh, yeah.
And I couldn't say anything, bro, because my career was on the line.
Oh, makes sense.
If I spoke up, it was going to fuck me in the arse like he did Pluto. I mean, shit. I wasn't supposed to come out.
So he fucked Pluto and, like, when we say, like, fuck, like, are we talking about, like, like, messed up his career? Like, what are we talking?
Well, Pluto, he was kind of in a position like me. He was a new actor, and he saw Mickey as like a god. You know what I mean?
Makes sense, yeah.
And he just did whatever he said.
Makes sense. Like a slave.
Yeah, I think Mickey was actually, after Song of the South, he was quite a different man.
So racism.
Yeah, I think so.
I see.
I think so. Can't say for sure, but, you know,
Mm-hmm.
he was a changed man for sure.
Definitely.
You have any other
Uh,
questions or anything?
big one. Did he ever have like any meltdowns, like, wow, crying on set,
No, yeah, for sure.
pissing
You know,
everywhere?
in the beginning, Mickey, he was a hard worker.
Mm-hmm.
He was always the hardest worker in the room.
Mm.
When it got a little bit later in his career, he got a little bit, cocky. Decided that, he didn't really have to work hard. So when someone stood up to him, when I stood up to him, he'd freak the fuck out. I remember one time we were filming Fantasia 2. This one was straight to DVD.
Oh, the second.
No one was watching this one.
Shit.
Mickey was just there for a fucking paycheck, let me tell you.
The integrity was lost.
And we show up to the set, and I see him over there in the back, and he has, get this.
What?
Get fucking this.
What? What is it?
It's got a pipe.
No.
And he's smoking from it. And he walks back on set. His eyes are puffy red. If you watch that first scene, you wonder why his eyes are all red. I'm telling you right now, it's because he's smoking doobies on set.
Wow. That's a lot to take
And
in.
he comes back on set and I go, Mickey, what the fuck are you doing? You're smoking doobies, rolling up big fat ones. I didn't know what to do. I was about to explode.
Makes sense. I'd be mad too.
And then this is when Mickey goes off. We're in the center of a crowded set. Everyone's looking. He's screaming at me like it was Minnie. Oh, sorry.
Shit.
Fuck. Shouldn't have said that.
Nah, it's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
He's screaming at me.
Mm-hmm.
He's yelling. And eventually I scream back. Enough, Mickey. This is when he really exploded. He got his fucking big ass and cold cocked me across the face.
He clocked you?
Yes, he did. That he did.
Ah.
I'm laid out on the ground, fucking bleeding out my face. One leg, remind you, I'm not very well balanced.
I almost forgot you had one leg.
Hey,
I almost forgot.
tip over, like the fucking leaning tower of Pisa, except I kept going.
Mm-hmm.
And there's Mickey standing over me. He says, don't you ever fucking stand up to me again. I go home after the shoot that day.
Mm-hmm.
My shit's out along the curb on Sunset Boulevard outside his apartment. I go and knock on the door. All I hear is giggling. Bring me inside. It's one of his fucking women again. Go back down, get my shit, fly back home, settle down, go back to school.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I met Linda. I haven't spoken to him ever since.
Say you were able to see him once more. What do you think you would say to him?
All I have to say to Mickey is this. He treated me bad. He treated me good, but then he treated me bad. Listen up, Mickey. Karma's a bitch, and it's come back to bite you in your tiny red ass with your fucking swimming trunks on.
Yeah, you heard that,
wherever the
motherfucker.
fuck they are.
Yeah.
Look, I want nothing to do with him. I'm just saying these things to get out there. You know what I mean?
Got you.
So, this is like my cautionary tale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I got you.
Trying to let the rest of the world know about what he did to me and the rest of the people. Honestly, I think Walt's behind it.
Oh, definitely.
Influenced them, led them astray. And now look at him. We don't know what's going to happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish Minnie the best. How's she doing?
Oh, yeah. I recently had an interview with another guy who knew the guy, or who knew Mickey and Minnie as well. And he says they're doing fine. He and her, I don't give a fuck. He and her are kind of in cahoots,
Oh, you know what? You don't have to say that.
What else?
Mickey cheated on her so many times.
True.
You know, like when Bugs Bunny turns into like a girl.
Yeah, no.
Cheated on Minnie with Bugs Bunny as a girl. Lola Bunny, that's her name.
Lola Bunny.
Lola Bunny.
Well, that's a scoop for the ages, folks.
Yeah, it was right after they're shooting a Space Jam. Michael Jordan joined in, I heard.
What?
Crazy.
The guy who plays basketball.
No, it's the PA. The guy who plays basketball joined in after.
Oh.
You know, 2 Michael Jordans, 1 bed.
Jesus.
Got a little cramped.
Well, thank you for all that information, man. It's been a while.
Of course.
Man. Thank you.
I just want to clarify one more time. I'm gonna be anonymous, right?
Oh, of course.
Good.
I would never. I would never fuck you over like that.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
You're a good man.
Yeah, man. Hope your kids.
I'm glad that you're sharing his story. Needs to be told.
I know. Definitely.
All right. Well, on that note, thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome.
Right. And you're gonna get me that doobie, right? That I ordered.
Oh, yeah.
Perfect.
After the thing's done. After the whole thing.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Gotcha.
All right. Thank you, sir.
The takeaway from the interview: Mickey changed for the worse. When Minnie was gone for work, Mickey would set up brutal dog fights, fuck Pluto, smoke doobies, and cheat on Minnie with hookers. Living in Alabama for some time also gave Mickey the inspiration to be in Song of the South, which gave way to his racist ideology and superiority complex. Mickey lost the joy in acting, only coming to work to get the paycheck, gain more fame, and then go home. He felt as though he was so much better than everybody else, and nobody could step to him. Even with all this, his career would only go up. But it only gets worse from here. Let's talk about violence. On December 31st, 2004, Mickey had gotten arrested due to a call about a beat-up woman in his house. It was his wife. Minnie's injuries, while not life-threatening, were still terrible, to say the least.
So, I heard about what happened during that time, and immediately I flew over to check up on her because I was really worried that Mickey could have done some terrible damage. And luckily, she was going to make it out okay, right? And so I visit her, and she could speak, but her lips were swollen, so it was kind of hard to talk. And she looked bad, right? Black eyes, broken nose. I think her jaw was broken at one point, or it might not have been broken, but it was just bad. And I asked her, I was like, "Yo, are you? What's gonna happen after this?" And she said, "I'm done with Mickey. I'm not gonna be with him anymore. I'm done, for good." And yeah, and at that point, I was thinking to myself, what had happened during those times? Because again, they moved to Alabama to get away from the fame for a little bit, but then Mickey, of course, started going back into it, and he seemed like from what I've heard from her, he seemed like a different person during that time, and it was just it's saddening to see what fame can do to people who are just very talented, you know.
After being released from the hospital, Minnie quickly filed a restraining order on Mickey and divorced him. The good news is, Minnie is happy now. She is remarried and has had another kid since then. Microsoft Word has lived a good life as well, becoming a lawyer. But let's not talk too much about the present right now. Let's discuss what happened after the restraining order and divorce. Of course, this event was hidden by Disney. They couldn't afford to have their reputation tarnished. And to pour salt on the wound, they created a new Mickey Mouse TV show called Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, starring Mickey, Minnie, and his friends. Mickey during this time was going through a deep depression. He started to feel remorse for his previous actions, but knew he wasn't allowed to even speak to Minnie or Microsoft Word. Couple that with the fact that he had to work with his ex-wife, well, that made things worse for him. Nobody on set liked him. He didn't have any real friends anymore. Scenes of Mickey and Minnie together were played by lookalikes due to the restraining order. When work was finished, Mickey would always go home to an empty house, and that made him even sadder. This would lead to him developing an addiction to drugs like cocaine, black tar heroin, and lean. He believed these drugs would help him alleviate his pain and put him on a great high. However, this came with its repercussions.
Hello. Hello. Hi. My name is Greg Hammerfeld, and I'm reporting live from Sicily, Italy, and today is the 2nd of July. You're gonna blur that out, right? Alright, good. So, as you may have noticed by now, this is a pre-recorded message using state-of-the-art VHS technology. Well, I declined your offer to do a live interview for reasons that'll become abundantly clear. You can't be tracked when doing a VHS recording, and my information, such as my location or what date it is, must be kept private. Well, enough about me. I just want to say that you're really doing the Lord's work, Mr. Just finally, someone is trying to unearth the truth of how of how Mickey Mouse treated everyone around him. Fuck. Where to even begin? So, this fuckfest started when I saw a job listing for costume design for Walt Disney Studios. Now, let me make this very clear. I was a young, impressionable, and stupid kid who just got out of college, and I was trying to apply my useless fucking art degree anywhere I could. And, looking at the application, I kind of thought to myself, wow, a career with Disney. It'll be magical, and I can meet stars and really have potential to grow. Little did I know that stupid pipe dream would end up with me fleeing the country. Anyways, I ended up getting the job, and I was told I was going to be working firsthand with Mickey Mouse. And I thought to myself, holy fucking shit, the Mickey fucking Mouse. I started on the 14th of February. I walked into the sound studio, and I was honestly given a pretty nice tour of the place. It was Disney, so of course it was, state of the fucking art everything. I half expected the toilets to wipe my own ass for me, maybe even jerk me off while I was at it. But I digress. Eventually, we passed a ratty looking trailer. Sorry for the pun. But I don't know how to describe it. It was like an island in the middle of an ocean of broken bottles and beer cans, which a lot of them were Miller Lite for some reason. I digress. But there was a star on the door, a plaque. And the star on the door read, Mickey Mouse. Obviously I wanted to go and introduce myself. After all, I would be doing costume design for him. But the tour lady, she was a nice lady. She stopped me and said it would be a bad idea. And I wasn't sure if she was joking at first. I thought she was, but there was like a genuine fear in her eyes. Then, before I could even ask her if it was a joke or not, there was a loud bang that echoed through the air. And the trailer door just flung open, and there stood an image that is honestly burned into my fucking mind and retinas. It was a grotesque humanoid mouse. He was like nothing I had ever really seen before. He was, I'm putting this nicely, he was utterly repulsive. My man's had a 5 o'clock shadow. He had bags under his eyes. He had flabs of fat that were pudging over his red trousers. And to top it off, like a cherry on top of this disgusting cake, he had a nipple piercing. Just one, not two. I didn't find that odd, but I don't know, my OCD just wanted there to be a second one. The mouse stood there, and he kind of scratched his cock a bit, and then he proceeded to yell at me, and also, sorry, this is me doing a Mickey Mouse impression. He obviously sounded better in person, but he said, so, are you the new guy? Come here, let me see ya. He then fell off the step of the trailer and landed face first in broken glass. The tour bitch tried dragging me away from the scene, but being the good-natured boy that I went to go help him up. He just fell face first in glass. I grabbed him by the arm, and he began to flail around like a fucking fish out of water. He then screamed, get the fuck off of me, you fucking homo! And, excuse my slur there, but I am directly quoting him. But he got up, and he just pushed me off of him, and he was covered in glass. But the strange thing was, he didn't seem to be bleeding. He had goddamn glass shards in his eyes, like lodged in his eyes, but he just kind of started to take them out one by one. After a while, he lit a cigarette and asked me again if I was the new guy. Obviously, I was startled, but I just gave a quick introduction. But in the middle of my fucking introduction, he puts his goddamn cigarette out on my fucking arm. And obviously, it burned. I jumped back and I asked, what the fuck he was doing. And he just looked at me and said, "You're Mickey's bitch now." Oh. And now let me tell you, my blood was fucking boiling. And I started to clench my fist, and a thought crossed my mind. I am really about to knock the fuck out of Mickey Mouse on my first day of work. And Mickey must have seen the anger building up in me, because he looked at me dead in my eyes. He started walking towards me, and he said this, and like I said, this is verbatim, word for word. He said, "Little bitch gonna swing? You finna hit me? Better make it count. Better make it hurt. Better kill me in one shot, bucko." And his annoying ass voice just made me snap. And before I knew it, with the force of 3 Sarbombas, I fucking Rio-styled Sharukin uppercutted his bitch ass. And that was the first time I ever hit anyone. And it was a solid connection. He went flying back and landed into some more bottles. But the adrenaline quickly wore off, and I realized that I had just uppercutted my employer on the first day of work. The tour lady, I forgot her name, Linda, Lucy, something like that. But she yelled at me, and she just started yelling, "You're fired! You're fired! You dumbass! You punched Mickey Mouse!" And my heart sank, and I realized that I blew my one chance at a career. I could have grown and maybe afforded a Tesla one day, but then a shaky voice filled the air, and getting up from the bottles yet again, Mickey Mouse opens his mouth and he says, "Shut up, whore. I like this guy. He's got balls, real cojones, big old nutsack." And then he passed out on the floor. And obviously he was inebriated, but little did I know that was just Mickey Mouse all the time. His sober was being absolutely just hammered. And pretty much after that incident, I was working for Mickey Mouse. Now, there are plenty of stories to tell, such as, one time I went into the changing room, and Mickey was doing a line of coke off of the table. And after snorting this line that must have been 8 inches long at the minimum, he proceeded to look up into the sky and scream off the top of his lungs, "Miska, Muska, cocaine, mouse." And obviously that's a little different than what he's used to saying, which is just Miska, Muska, Mickey Mouse. But I don't know. I thought that was kind of funny. Oh, also there was the time that we found Co-Star's panties inside of his trailer. Yeah, it wasn't just one lady. It was, I think it turned out to be 6. Not even fellow actresses, but it was just like this one girl didn't, and she was an electrician. How the fuck did he get her panties? I don't know, but the point is, Mickey, he was a well-known perv. Not only that, but he was a drug addict. He was an abusive sociopath and psychopath. But while there are endless stories to tell about him, there are really 2 occasions that really showed this to me. One in which I got to see just how much of a broken mouse he really was, and the other that made me flee the fucking country. So, it was a day like any other. You know, we had just finished filming a part for the sitcom we were working on, and, you know, people were going home and the lights were being turned off, and it was just me and Mickey in his changing room. And the weird thing is, while he was usually ranting about the government or, you know, something about Mexico, I can never keep up with his ramblings. It was like borderline schizophrenic, but he seemed quieter that evening. Definitely quieter. And after kind of looking in the mirror, just deep in his eyes, not really blinking, he finally kind of broke the silence. Without looking away from the mirror, he just asked a rhetorical question. Would anyone miss me if I died? And Mickey was never serious. Not only was he never serious, but he was always just saying ridiculous shit, you know? And so I told him, hell no. I told him that he's a fucking psycho and that absolutely no one would miss him, you know? Kind of playing along like it's a joke. But then tears started welling up in his eyes and he just started sobbing. I thought maybe he was fucking with me, but he seemed serious. I went to approach him, you know, ask if he was okay, but before I could console him, he punched me in the dick and ran off. I didn't think much about that, since that fool had breakdowns like every fucking day. But there was something truly special waiting for me the day after that happened. So it's 8 a.m. and I'm pulling into the parking lot. And I saw a crowd of people surrounding the sound studio. And I was just wondering, like, you know, what the fuck was going on? You know, maybe they brought Krispy Kreme donuts again and I got late to the party. But people were actually pointing at the roof and they were yelling amongst each other. You know, there was the director, some of like the lighting people, everyone was gathered around. And after getting out of my car and walking over towards the crowd, I saw what they were pointing out. Mickey Mouse was on the fucking roof of the building, and in one hand he had a bottle of Henny, and in the other he had a large, like, horse leg joint. Like, it was massive. A real two-hander, but he was hitting that with one hand. But he took a swig of the bottle and then he threw it down into the crowd, barely missing some people. Glass went shattering, like, fucking everywhere. But he was wobbling up there. He was definitely drunker than usual. And it was utter fucking chaos on the floor level. You know, people were trying to figure out ways to get him down. People were trying to look for a secret stash because, you know, it wasn't a well-kept secret, you know, that he was a total druggie. But, you know, people tried finding his stash to, like, hey, you want some Scooby snacks? Like, try and fucking lure him down like a dog. And other people were trying to appeal to his, sensibilities. But it was to no avail because he was belligerent. And I couldn't make out everything he was saying, but I could kind of hear some things. He was basically raving about he was at a dead end in his life, and that he was a quote-unquote mistake forsaken by God. And, I tried thinking of myself, a way to talk him down. I spent the most time with him. I for sure could have found a way to get him down. But in the middle of my thoughts, in the middle of me thinking, a woman's voice just rang out, "Oh my God! Oh my jeez! Oh my God!" And I looked up and I saw the mouse himself free falling, like Jesus pose, spread eagle, just falling off of the soundstage. And I'm not even kidding. He had like 8 seconds of free fall before he fell and just crashed into the floor. I averted my gaze and I thought that there was going to be like a splat in that, like, I don't know, it was going to be like a gusher, But as I kind of looked away, or once I stopped shielding my gaze, I looked and saw that in the floor there was a perfect Mickey outline in the concrete. And I looked down, and like 7 feet into the ground was Mickey Mouse. And at this point, security came by, and, they started yelling at us and started shoving us out of the way, but they pulled Mickey out of the floor and started dragging him away. And while he was getting dragged away, he yelled out, "Why can't I die? Why can't I end this torment?" Yeah, pretty fucked up. It almost makes you feel bad for the psychopath. But this next story will make you fucking hate the little mouse's guts just as much as I do right now. Sorry, I need to calm down. Fucking mouse. So, we had just finished filming the last episode of the sitcom, and Mickey was getting out of his costume, nothing out of the ordinary. But then he pulled out his crack pipe, and he started smoking it. But at this point, I had been around him so much that it didn't surprise me. However, that night he didn't just smoke crack. He proceeded to shoot up heroin, drop acid, and also snort a line. Mickey was getting especially fucked up for some reason. And after letting all the drugs absolutely drop kick his nervous system, he asked me if I could take him to 7-Eleven for some snacks. And like I said, I was a nice guy back then. So I said sure. And I took him to 7-Eleven. I didn't want him driving and maybe killing someone on the road, but it's ironic thinking that he was going to kill someone. But, he got out of the car and he stumbled into the store. And I just started pulling out my phone, scrolling through Instagram. I was looking at bad bitches. I was, even though I'm married, a man can window shop, a man can, you hear that, Darlene? A man can fucking window shop. Okay, make sure my bitch wife can hear. But yeah, scrolling through Instagram, looking at bad bitches. And then when I looked over, because I wanted to make sure that, he wasn't just like spaced out staring at all the different Dorito flavors, I looked and what I saw made me shit bricks. Mickey had a fucking ski mask on. And not only that, but he was holding a comically large revolver at the cashier. Like, comically fucking large. Like, it would take like two bodybuilders to hold that. But he was yelling something at the cashier, and poor cashier looked like a pretty young guy. He was just standing there with his hands up. He was, shaking. Obviously someone's holding basically a fucking cannon to your face. But all of a sudden, I don't know, maybe if that cashier didn't run, he'd be alive to this day. But the cashier bolted for the exit, and Mickey fucking blasted him almost point blank in the back. And just gore and viscera just splattered the fucking wall. I couldn't believe what I was witnessing. I just witnessed murder. And Mickey hopped the counter, started pulling the cash out of the register, and he went out of the store, and he went back into the car. And I was, I was shaken. I was shaken down to my core. And, when you're in shock, it's hard to really do anything. And Mickey was, yelling at me to drive, but I just was staring blankly. But then Mickey pointed the fucking revolver at my dick, and he said, "If you ever want to fuck again, I suggest you drive." And now I do in fact like to fuck. And so I put the pedal to the metal and I floored it. And a cop saw us speeding and started chasing us, but I played quite a bit of Grand Theft Auto, and after evading the police officer, I was actually, I was pretty surprised I was able to shake him, but I dropped Mickey Mouse off at a secure location. And he said that if I ever told anyone what happened, or if I ever got arrested, he'd murder my family and then murder me. And so I quit my job and I went into witness protection. And that's why I currently live in fucking Italy. And I'll be honest, I'm scared. I'm scared that Mickey Mouse might find me one of these days. And I'm scared he might pull out that comically large revolver and blast me like he blasted that kid. You know? Well, that's my story. There's more I could have said, but that's really the highlights of it. Thank you. I just want to say thank you for listening, Mr. And I really do hope that you show the world what Mickey really did to the people around him. And just reveal the torment and suffering that he put upon those. Well, signing out, Greg Hammerfeld.
Thank you, Greg Hammerfield, for sharing your story. But quick question, what were you laughing about? I mean, like, that shit must have been so funny for you to laugh, like, during, like, a serious moment like that. Like, later, tell me the joke for real. Like, that shit must have been funny as fuck. But, yeah, let's continue. Everybody on set knew he was fucked up, but didn't get help for him. That negligence would be Mickey's undoing. Get ready, folks, because what I'm about to tell you is unknown to the public, but it's time to let the truth be told. Let's begin the final act. On November 6th, 2016, Mickey would be found in his penthouse, unconscious. His body was purple and he looked lifeless. Next to his lifeless body were two phones. One had the Vine app on, and the other had a King Batch Ultimate Vine compilation running. A spilt lean cup was near his hand, and there was a mix of lean and blood coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, so I went to visit Mickey back in 2016 due to the fact that he told me that his show was actually ending. And I was also the only guy that was actually willing to talk to him, even after all that shit that happened. And so, I'm in my hotel room one night, and he calls me up, and he says, "Hey, I'm going to do the lean chugging challenge." And I say, "What the hell is the lean chugging challenge?" You know what I mean? Like, the fuck is that? And he says, "It's a new Vine trend." Like, what part of Vine had a lean chugging challenge? And he wouldn't answer. He just says, "Fuck it, I'm gonna do it for the Vine." So he puts Xanax in his lean cup, and I was like, "Dude, that's gonna fucking kill you." And he said, "No, it's not. I'm fine. I'm gonna be invincible." I guess he thought he was a fucking crackhead, I guess. And so he takes he doesn't even take a sip. He said, this is what he said: "Fuck sips. I'm gonna down the whole thing." Drinks the whole thing, swallows the Xanax, and just has a fucking seizure on the spot. Passed out, and I was like, shit, like, what do I do? And so I called the paramedics, I just had to let them know, this guy's in fucking trouble. And eventually they came, and, here we are,
Mickey was airlifted to a secret hospital where only celebrities could go. He fell into a coma there and has been there ever since. The news were not told about this event at all. Only Disney was notified, and all of the actors who worked with Mickey had to stay hush about it, or they would lose their jobs. This is where the replacement plan comes into play. I mean, you can't have a Mickey show without a Mickey, right? Disney knew that people would soon find out that Mickey was gone, so they created a plan to fix that. They immediately got a look-alike actor and covered it up like nothing happened. Well, until today, of course. So basically, the Mickey Mouse of the Mickey Mouse shorts is not Mickey Mouse. You might be wondering, well, how do you know that? Well, if you analyze the facial features of the new Mickey Mouse, you could tell it isn't him. And just to prove my point, I did a reverse search, and I found this. An IMDb page with a Russian actor named Belandin Arseny Yegorovich. At first glance, I had thought, well, maybe he's just, a lookalike rat. I was fucking wrong, dude. He, in fact, on a closer inspection, had a zipper on his back. And you know what that means? It means he's just a fucking dwarf in a Mickey Mouse costume. That's very anticlimactic. And here we are, at the end of the documentary. I hope this showed everyone that wanting to become an actor is wrong and you should be doing something else. But seriously, this showed what fame could truly do to a person. Or animal. It's a rough industry, and it chomps up anyone wanting to jump into its mouth. Let's just hope that one day Mickey wakes up and gets the help he needs. So, one last thing. I bet you're all wondering, yo, how the fuck did you get the files on Mickey? That's fucking easy, right? So I go into Disney headquarters, right? You know, all suited up, pretending that I'm one of the fucking workers. I tiptoe into the secret file base of all the fucking actors. I go in there, I take the files, I replace it with a fucking black crayon version of the files, and luckily they're dumbasses, so they're not gonna know. Anyways, thanks to everybody who watched this documentary. I hope you'll join me in the hashtag #FuckMickey2020 movement. And yeah, have a good day.
I'll see you soon.
Hola.
Hola, my friend. All right, so let's just get this started. Tell me about the mouse.
Sí, el mouse, el ratón.
Sí, sí, el ratón, yes.
El ratón era muy alto, muy tall, con un pene largo, muy largo, como ratón.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he's like 4 feet, but okay.
No, el ratón era muy alto, como un pene grande, por favor. Necesitas saber eso.
Okay. So, what do you know about him?
Oh, con el pene le gustaba tocar a los niños, era pastor, pero un día lo hizo en fired, como no job anymore. Pero ahorita tiene un restaurante y el pizza que le reciben era muy shit.
Hold on a fucking second. I don't think we're talking about the same mouse. And in fact, you're talking about Chuck E. Cheese, the fucking rat. I'm talking about Mickey Mouse.
¿No son la misma persona?
Okay. It's fine, though. It's fine. I'm intrigued. Please, tell me more about Chucky.
This decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to